This is Robert Clotworthy, the narrator of The Curse of Oak Island, and I have a question for you. Could it be that you are listening to The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream?
This is a top pocket find, mate, for sure.
Hey, welcome everyone to The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream. I am your host, Jeff Freeman, and today we have co-host Gretchen Cornwall with us. Welcome, Gretchen. Thank you for being here today. Oh, I think you're muted. Oh, sorry, I muted you. I'm sorry. There you go. Uh-oh. There you go.
Teasing you,
sorry about that.
Sorry.
I'll tell you what, I'm really, really excited about today's show because of our special guest we have coming on. And this gentleman, Luca Centoni, is a filmmaker, film director, a man of many, many talents. He's done some fantastic work. We're going to be showing a bit of that here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to show a little clip that we have, and then we're going to bring Luca on. But I tell you, this is now, and I got to hand it to Gretchen because Gretchen graciously, because she knows Luca, she reached out to him and asked him to come on the show. And I am so very thankful. We got a chance to meet Luca. What a wonderful man. But thank you how did you meet him? How did you guys get together?
Thank you. Actually, he reached out to me
Really?
because, yes, for a few reasons, I had included information about the de Medici family in my first book and made Templar connections there, which is not very well known of in the Western speaking world.
Right.
And also I travel to Templar locations or locations of mystery. And he appreciated that I had the get up and go to do that, the courage to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some very good conversations. And I realized, I thought, he has brought a wealth of knowledge that, to be honest, is almost overwhelming to the English-speaking world that is not public yet.
Right.
And I thought, what in the world have I been doing? I need to get him on with Jeff.
Oh man, I'm so glad you did.
But it's a privilege, and truly, some of what he has to share is rare. It is not well known of. Right. Is related to Templar mysteries and modern Templar mysteries as well. It's not just history. Right. And I find his documentaries so packed with information that as I was doing what you were doing, dissecting, writing things down, making notes, and
oh man, I know.
If 1 hour and 10 minutes of one of his documentaries was on the History Channel, it would have been split up into 3 hours. Right. So it would have been, but so it's so dense with information, and you have to watch it again and again and again, because these are new names, new places, new people, information on the history timeline that we're not used to hearing about.
Yep,
so it's a little bewildering and a little overwhelming at first, but it's also incredibly exciting.
Yeah, it sure is. And we're going to have, we have a little clip that Gretchen has put together before we bring Luca on. I want to show this little clip. It's about a minute and 50 seconds long. We're going to show this little clip. Now, this is a clip of, he's done, I think, 2 episodes so far. We'll talk to Luca about this more in just a moment. He's got a couple of episodes that are in the can. One has been released last night. Well, it was officially released today. I woke up early this morning and watched the entire thing. It was a little over an hour long. Fantastic. You folks have got to watch it. We do have the link down below. It is linked in our description below, and it's also linked on our Facebook page at the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Facebook page. We have it in there as well. So if you haven't seen it, don't watch it right now. You want to watch the show and hear what he has to say. But when we're done, you definitely want to go watch this. But we're going to show this little clip real quick. Let me bring this up here. Let's see. Make sure I got everything all set. All right. And we're going to roll with it right now.
The Venetian district is the real historical center of Livorno. These large canals, which not surprisingly recall the Serenissima, were once commissioned by the rich merchants of the city to favor the movement of goods and therefore the city trade. On this journey to discover the hidden Livorno, We will be accompanied by Maurizio Silvestri, a historical researcher and always a great scholar and writer about these arguments.
Nell'ideazione della città di Livorno fu scelta una data molto particolare e molto importante legata alla storia dei Templari, perché il 19 marzo del 1314 venne bruciato Jacques de Molay, l'ultimo Gran Maestro Templare. Quindi adesso le vorrei chiedere, che legame ci poteva essere tra i Medici e i Cavalieri Templari che ormai erano scomparsi almeno da 200 anni? Il loro essere cavalieri viaggiatori anche potrebbero avere qualcosa a che fare con la famosa scoperta di Cristoforo Colombo?
Potrebbe essere proprio questo, tant'è vero si parla che in realtà Cristoforo Colombo, la spedizione sì, fu fatta dai re di Spagna, finanziata dai re di Spagna, ma con l'appoggio ovviamente dei Medici, che indubbiamente fornirono delle credenziali, seppure in maniera nascosta, le credenziali a Colombo, anche perché sarebbe impensabile che pure un bravo capitano di una nave sia ammesso a corte, a raccontare progetti e così via. Quindi senz'altro i Medici hanno messo più o meno apertamente lo zampino anche in questo, così come hanno diretto tutto quello che era la politica, essendo pieni di soldi, avendo in mano, un po' come avevano i Templari, anche i Templari avevano tutto in mano, tutto il mondo, no? A livello economico, e questa è stata la loro fine.
Wow, I tell you what, and not all of it is subtitled. I mean, the parts where this young lady and is speaking is, of course, because she doesn't speak English, as far as I know. But it is very good, and you really need to check that out. Like I said, it was released last night. But without further ado, let's bring on Luca Centoni. Luca, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Good evening. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Gretchen.
I'll tell you what do we like to do? What I like to do at the beginning of our shows when I have a special guest like yourself is I like to get a little bit of a background about you. Now, as far as I've been able to find out, looking into your background on my own, I've come to find out that you started in photography around the age of 12, correct?
Yes, that's correct, because my mother is a photographer. So
okay.
I started from there, just helping her.
Mm-hmm. And then you got into film.
Yeah. At the age of 20, I decided that still photography wasn't enough for me, because I like to put the sound and the movement together.
Yep,
so,
I do
too. Yeah, that's how we all start. Mm-hmm. And today is much easier because everybody has good technology to do that. At that time, instead, was quite a challenge. And so I started with the 60 millimeters film. And so the big difference is when you went in the field filming, you never see the images until you were back.
Yeah.
And so it was quite a risky, you have to do you have to know how to handle it. So the first 5 movies were about 5 countries, and they were mostly travel movies. And ever since, I did 87 movies and 8 TV series. Wow. The last 2 movies were about Templars. So it's a new subject for me. I'm not an expert. I'm a filmmaker. But I had to study as well, like my collaborators, because I need to know what it was about. It was very difficult to put it all together. A lot of information, and so it was quite a challenge. I did several TV shows in my original country, which is Italy. I've been living there 47 years.
Wow.
I moved to the US in the last 10 years. So I'm sorry for my English. It's not going to be perfect, but I try to let you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job, and not a problem at all. But that really, I've talked to Gretchen about this. So of course, she's in the UK, and I talked to her about the fact that I am so envious of those of you that are over there and able to go to these different castles and go to where the Templars were. I have gained a very appreciative interest in the Templars myself, thanks to folks like Gretchen and now yourself. they fascinate me, and I've learned so much, because it used to be that, oh, well, they did these, they got ousted because of all these weird practices they were doing, and all that. Well, then I come to find out more of the truth, and now it really fascinates me. So I'm very thankful that you were able to get into the whole idea of the Templars. What got you started with that? What sparked that interest in the Templars, if I may ask?
Yes, it happened with the visit to Rennes-le-Château.
Mhm.
After at that, I was in a library of the village, and I found out this book of Tania Martino, which is the girl you have seen in the segment before. And so I read that book, and that intrigued me a lot. And I started working with her. I just called her, and just like I did with Gretchen, and we started from there. I have to study 1 year before to do episode 1, and still was a challenge when we met the very first day, because I wouldn't know if she was good in front of the camera or not.
Right.
I didn't have the chance like with Gretchen, that she's always in video, so it's easy to understand it. But in her case, I didn't know, but she was great since the first scene. And we started from there. We were a great team at that time. We never imagined to have such success with Prime Video UK and US. I mean, 6 million people watched it.
I'm telling you, that's fantastic. That is fantastic.
Well, we didn't expect it.
Yes, that kind of puts a shadow over everything I have just said about the material you bring to the table being new to a Templar interested audience, because 6 million people, that is a lot of people.
Yeah.
And congratulations, Luca, on that huge following that you've generated with your films.
Thanks to the American and English people. I just thank you all.
Yes, and the narrator you have for your 2 films, your 2 episodes, is British and has done work for the BBC. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right.
Martin Owen, yeah.
He's very good. He's very good.
He's got a great voice.
I don't know if you have the trailer for the first episode. I just messaged you, Jeff.
Okay.
Would that, maybe that would give everyone a flavor of the photography, etc.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. So it's going to be, I'll do my best here. Hopefully it'll pop up on the proper screen. You may hear a little bit of the video running until I can get it set up properly here.
Right.
Oh, there we go. Oh. All right, let's see. Bring that over here. And I apologize.
You're good at doing this, I tell you.
Oh, my goodness.
We had a rehearsal, and he was trying to show me how to do these things, and I no, you do.
Yeah, it's I've done it a few times. So let's see. All right, so I got the first one's queued up here. Let's go ahead and run that real quick.
Great.
Make sure it's not too loud. Hopefully, it won't blow everyone's ears out. I didn't have a chance to set this up. All right, here we go. And this is episode 1, Da Vinci Code Secrets.
Mary Magdalena is the guardian of the Grail, and Sonia, with little hidden mystery, deliberately celebrates her, also placing the statues of the saints present inside the church: Saint-Germain, Saint-Roch, Saint Anthony the Hermit, Saint Anthony of Padua, and Saint Luc. The initials of the names of these saints are linked by the symmetry of the letter M and form the word Graal. At the center of this enigma is the statue of Mary Magdalene. Was she the guardian of the famous chalice, or was she the Grail? In this mystery, also the art had a famous interpreter, Nicolas Poussin. The artist was defined by the abbot Fouquet in a letter to his brother, who was the treasurer of King Louis XIV. A secret that kings would struggle to obtain from him, and that after him nobody in the world will ever discover in the future centuries. The Broceliande Forest is located in Brittany, and it was the region inhabited by the other branch of the Celtic Redon tribe. Surrounded by two mighty walls, Carcassonne was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1997. Back in Rennes-le-Château, Tanya Martino gives us another clue, a protuberance of a rock on the church bell tower, indicating a royal presence in the hidden crypt.
That's
So
fantastic.
that is episode 1.
Yeah, that's the trailer for episode 1. Wow.
Right.
I can't wait to watch like I said, I watched, as Gretchen mentioned too, we watched episode 2. I watched as soon as I woke up this morning because I knew it was being released late last night. But oh my gosh, it was fantastic. And now I can't wait for this. And I watch it again. I have to watch it.
The thing that's so wonderful here is that Jeff Luca decided to do this, to release episode 2 on YouTube, was because he wanted to impart a gift to the Curse of Oak Island and beyond.
Really?
So this group was the impetus for having the second film released.
Oh my gosh, I am honored. Thank you so much. That is really nice. Thank you so
My
much. And
pleasure.
oh man, I had no idea, but I tell you that is wonderful, and I loved it. Like I said, Gretchen mentioned it also. We have to watch it again because I've written so many notes on it. It was so informative. But folks, like I said, it's in the description. You have to watch it if you haven't yet. Please watch it, and we've linked it to Luca's the channel, YouTube channel. So yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, it is going to be very entertaining. Yet it leaves a lot of questions too that I'm hoping they're going to be answered in the next. I guess there's going to be a total of 5. Is that correct, Luca? You have 2 out now.
Correct.
Yeah. So
5 episodes. Yes. 1 and 2 has been done before the pandemic. Actually, the number 2 has been done during the pandemic, and indeed, that's the reason you see Pisa and Florence with no people mostly.
No, yeah,
because we were in lockdown, the worst, and we're good team. We're doing all safely with the other guys, and we made it. And first episode was much easier. We were not in the pandemic time, and without Tanya, wouldn't be possible because she has all the connection with the Rennes-le-Château, and so we were the only film crew ever who filmed inside the chapel with a drone. Never and ever, even today, was allowed to. So other thing was Grotte of Lombrive, the caves, the biggest in Europe. And there were little segments in the video you have seen of those. We have filmed in there with a drone for the very first time ever too. The drone was absolutely essential in those images, and not very easy job because to pilot it inside the caves, we had one of the best drone pilots in Italy.
I was going to say, you know him personally, do you not?
Yes. It was in my team, Luca Bracali. Instead, episode 2 has been taken by my son, Paolo Emilio, and he also did a good job, a different style, but still good one. And actually, there are more images from the drone than the episode 1. So,
Wow. Yeah,
That's
it's really good and very well done. Yeah, very talented. And that does, I have flown a drone just for a few minutes one time. It's not that easy. I mean, they've made them easier to be able to get off the ground and move them around, but to do it with that camera work and that precision, that takes
I
an
wouldn't be able to.
no way, I wouldn't either.
wow,
Go ahead,
amazing.
Gretchen.
Before we go further and forget, where might people watch episode 1? Is there a link to go to?
Okay, it was to Prime Video until a few days ago. Now the agreement is at the end, so we are rescheduling to go in different platforms. But that's all related to the series we are doing, because we want to regroup all together with the 3rd, 4th, and 5th episode together. So might be at this time not possible to see episode 1, which is still under agreement with Prime Video, Amazon Prime Video.
Okay.
But episode 2 is free of that. That's why you could put it online. Yeah.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Well, Tanya is so quick-minded, intelligent. She's now an attorney, I understand.
Yes.
And she also has a connection with Henry Lincoln. And
yes,
yes, so that's wonderful. It's without Henry Lincoln, I don't know if we'd be sitting here today and talking about the Templars.
I don't think so.
I agree. Okay. He was very important to the Templar world, and amazing individual. Amazing. Would this be an appropriate time to share that? I put together a quick slideshow, a tribute to Henry Lincoln, who passed a few days ago. And it does include a few grainy photographs of Tanya, because she had worked with him and he and spent time with him as a friend.
Yeah, they were a close friend indeed.
Yeah. Okay. I've got this. Let's see. I get this queued up, and I wanted to have them all queued up and ready to go, but unfortunately, it would only allow me to have one at a time going. So I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to have to mute it real quick here. Let's see. As soon as we get it going. Okay. Let me stop that. All right. So, all right. And this was something that Gretchen put together, and it's for the author Henry Lincoln. Like she said, who just passed. So I'm going to go ahead and share this real quick.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
Yep. All right, here we go. Wow. That must have been such an honor for her to have been able to work with him like that. Wow. That's fantastic.
Also, we are going to film episode 3 on another book that collaborators and co-writer of Harry did about Scotland. There are 2 locations that they visited, and they find out the exact location where the Templars supposed to be landed with their ship from La Rochelle.
Wow.
So we have the exact position where to go and film it. So we will go there.
Wow.
They are in the Argyll area of Scotland that Gretchen knows, of course. And that's going to be episode 3, because episode 3 is going to be all on UK and a little part in Ireland too, because we're going to talk also of predecessor of the Templars in cruising up to North America. So we're talking about Sam Brandon. Sam Brandon did travel in the ocean 500 years before the Vikings themselves. And Tim Severin, who was the guy who went there with this ancient boat, demonstrated that was absolutely correct. So he made it. It's the travel of Sam Brandon. There is a book about that. So we're going to go in the place where he started this cruise. And as well, the Hebrides Island in Scotland, the first stop.
Wonderful. You have a very ambitious itinerary planned in June. I was amazed at the amount of travel you have planned for the documentary. Now, you are hoping to go to Iona. Is that correct? And
We have been Iona for a series I made years ago called Northland Circle. But this time in Iona is not going to be inside the production, because we're going to focus more on new information.
right. Okay.
So we try to give new information all the time and go out of the normal path.
Right. Right. Now, Saint Brendan was on that tiny little island where they train Jedi Knights.
So, yeah. Skellig Michael.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a little comment from Alessandra Naduvari, who's also a friend of our show, and she has her own podcast that she does as well sometimes, that she does interviews. And she's wonderful. We're so happy to have her as a friend of the show and a friend of mine. But she was talking about that boulder in Newfoundland, St. Brendan's Rock. There's a debate if it contains, oh boy, is that
Ogham.
Ogram's
Ogham
wow,
writing. Yes.
interesting.
Well,
Wow.
that shall have to be on your itinerary.
Absolutely will be.
Yeah.
Um,
She's a very good researcher in her own right, and
She is.
yeah. So thank you, Alessandra, for that. Appreciate that. So so this third book, I mean, I'm really interested in that as well. Of course, I want to see the the film that you've done, and I really want to see the first one, is of course, and the second one. But the second one is phenomenal. And I know that like I said, Tanya, is it Tanya? Tanya, working with the late Henry Lincoln, like I was mentioning earlier, she had the opportunity, and I've heard of his name, as I get into all of this with, the help from people like Gretchen and so many others that have come to me and talked to me about the Templars and helped me with my education on them over the years here, I am going to need to look into more of him. Now, I've been told that he kind of got the whole thing started. Really, is that where? Explain to me, either one of you, Gretchen or Luca, to help me understand exactly his role in all of this. He was like the father of getting all this started, was he not? Oh, she's reaching for a book.
Yes. He. Where'd it go? Years ago, he went to Rennes-le-Château for a holiday, a vacation, and he did find a book, a very tattered-looking book in French, of course, and he speaks French, etc. But about the curse of the village and also the treasure of the village, and that is how he was introduced to the mystery of Rennes-le-Château, which includes the Merovingian bloodline. It includes the Templar Knights. so that was how he was drawn into it. So he actually, if I'm not mistaken, wrote a small book about it at that time. Luca, is that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay. And I do have a English translation of that book, but I think I put it away somewhere.
Well, that's okay. I was just kind of curious.
Anyway, this is he has done several films.
Okay.
Fortunately, I have at least one of them, and
Yeah, for BBC about 4. Yeah.
yes. So, and I appreciated his work on geometry. The southern France has a unique physical feature of 5 mountaintops, and the Templars built castles on these peaks, and that creates a 5-pointed star.
Oh, wow.
And that's misconstrued today as being pagan. It's actually very ancient symbol having to do with King Solomon, and that translated into Christianity. And sometimes the upside down star represents descent of the Holy Spirit down to this plane of existence. So you've got to if you've ever seen upside down pentagram in a church, that is an emblem of the dove, the Holy Spirit coming down into our plane. It's also a feminine symbol, very similar, just like the upward triangle is male, that's female. So you get the upward pentagram being male and the downward being feminine. So but he discovered this in the landscape, and also a great deal of geometry at Bornholm Island in Norway. So I included a few books that he had written in the clip that are wonderful to study. But
yeah, and Linda brought one up there too. The Holy Blood, Holy Grail is one of his books, and I am familiar with that. So, but I guess I just didn't connect and I heard in his. And here's the thing about it too, is that because of our Facebook page and also the people that I've met and become friends with, Corey and Mole and all of these folks. Wonderful researchers in their own right, and many of them right away, as soon as his passing happened, here come all these people that were very familiar with his work that were bringing that up on Facebook and YouTube and stuff right away. So
yes,
obviously he was very important in the entire subject of the Templars. So that's really neat to know. Now I'm going to have to, again, it's one of these things where I'm going to have to look more into his past as well because of that. Oh, it's available on audiobook. Linda was just telling me Holy Blood, Holy Grail is available on audiobook. So I'll be getting that so I can go through that as well. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So I think we wanted to also talk about Tanya a little bit and Luca, how did you meet up with Tanya?
Well, I read her book, as I said, and I just proposed her to do this movie. And at the start, she thought it was the kind of, joke. But now then she understood it was a serious thing. So we met all together in Rennes-le-Château, June the 1st, all the components. We never talk about the whole project deeply. So we had a big briefing of 4 hours, and she was explaining everything to all the others as well. But it worked really good. I don't know if there was a video about that. I made it a while ago for the anniversary of the first year. And it was speaking about that and the way we made episode 1. But that's another, it's online. It's easy to find out for that.
I could find that if you'd like me to.
No, I mean, everybody, it's 15 minutes, so people can find it out.
Right.
I can find it out with no problem. And you mentioned Korean Mole before. Korean worked with us in episode 1, just before he went to Oak Island show. And he did a very nice interview for us. I don't know if we have it available, but it's about another different story near Rennes-le-Château, very peculiar one. And I find out this story in his website, which I consider the most important in the world for the information. It's really packed of information. His website about Rennes-le-Château, he knows very well the area. And one day he contacted me, and he told me he was coming down to collaborate with us on his own. And that's how we became friends. And after that, he's now involved in Oak Island, so he can't work with us right now. But when he's gonna finish, probably in the future, we're gonna go to do something together.
Yeah, we like Corian a lot. He's been on my show a couple times, him and Christopher Morford, and we love the work that he's been doing. And again, he's one of those fantastic researchers that has taught me so much. I'm just, somebody said to me once a long time ago, they said, well, if you don't know the answer to the question, if you know where to go get the answer, that's just as good, right? So I know now where to go get the answer. A lot of times, either get a hold of Gretchen or Corian or Christopher Morford or Court Lindahl or John Edwards or one of them guys to help me.
And we all do the same thing. We're all trading information. We're all talking to each other. We're making discoveries together. It is exciting and phenomenal. It truly is.
Yeah, it honestly is. And so
powerful collaborators.
It is. It's so wonderful. And then, there's so many others out there that I didn't mention, but I mean, and that's been one of the beauties of this show that I mentioned this in the pre-show, is that being able to meet all of you and all of these wonderful people has been a blessing for me, for sure. And going forward, we do have, I don't know, did we want to show that clip? We have a little clip of, we've actually got
Go for it. Yes, it's really interesting.
Okay, yeah, we'll run that clip. This is the Da Vinci Code Secrets, and this is a clip, I think, including a Corian in it. Let's see if I can get this up here real quick. Let's get this. Stop. There we go. I clicked on it, but it didn't stop. All right, here we go. Let's bring this over. All right.
Bugarach, the Massif, rises not far from Rennes-le-Château and is an upside-down mountain because the oldest rocks are on the summit instead of being at the foot of the mountain. A scientifically proven curiosity, the magnetic field around the mountain influences electronic devices, so the aircraft avoid it as a precaution. NASA has studied the phenomenon, which has also inspired the director Steven Spielberg for the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which also inspired Jules Verne for Journey to the Center of the Earth. However, the mysterious case of Daniel Betex is a true fact, and the Dutch researcher Corian de Raaf, collaborator of History Channel, speaks about it.
The story of Daniel Betex is a peculiar one, just like everyone to do with this mystery. Betex was an engineer from Geneva, Switzerland, who had picked up an interest into the Cathars. So he got in touch with the, I think it's called the Scientific Research Center for Cathars or something like that. And they advised him to have a look at the mountain of Bugarach. So he got in touch with a student who had just finished a thesis about the great writers that had all mingled the Bugarach into their works. There's Jules Verne, there's Maurice Leblanc, and there were similarities in those works that Daniel used to deduct some locations around the village of Bugarach, and he started digging there with permission of the society and the ministry. At some stage, he discovered some graffiti, ancient graffiti, on the wall of the ruined castle in Bugarach, and that's also the time that he started digging around the chateau and the village of Bugarach and started to really make progress. After a period of digging around Bugarach, he reported back to Lucien Julien, who was the secretary of the Cathar Society at the time in Narbonne, and he told her, I'm on the verge of discovering something awesome. In 3 weeks' time, I will be back here, and I will show you something that proves that there is truth in these stories. I will prove you something to do with Agartha, which was the mythical, subterranean, whatever, landscape, continent, world beneath Mount Bugarach. He never made it back. At the end of the 1980s, Daniel Betex died in Bugarach for an unknown cause. And after that, very soon afterwards, all the locations that he dug were covered up by the municipality and the government, and they are not there anymore today.
These are the gorges of Galamus, located at the exit of the Bugarach Canyon. And in the 19th century, two seekers, a curate and his assistant, were lost inside one of the caves of the gorges. After 3 days, some fishermen found the priest's assistant on the river bank. He was terrified and completely dehydrated. The priest's body was never found, and 3 weeks later, his assistant also killed himself by jumping from a balcony. What had he seen so terrifying? These events inspired a surrealist novel, The Blue Mammoth, which tells the story of an adventurer who visits the meanders of a mountain, finding a population of troglodytes, among which time seemed to flow in a different way than in the outside world. Was the entrance to these depths perhaps the monastery built into the rock and called the Hermitage of Galamus?
Wow. That's cool. I tell you what, I don't know if John, I haven't seen if John Edwards is watching right now. John Edwards and I, we do a show together called Beyond Our World, and it deals with paranormal phenomena, just weird things that are kind of outside of our normal realm of understanding. This is going to be an interesting topic right here. That's very, very interesting. We're going to have you on, Luca. We're going to have to bring you on for a little on Beyond Our World to talk about that a little more in depth. Wow. But fantastic job by Corian. That was great.
Yeah.
So this is all part of episode 1, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Just to show that Rennes-le-Château is not only about this traditional unsolved mystery, but also surrounding are full of that in a different field, of course.
Wow.
But still connected.
You cover ancient earth mysteries, other mysteries that we just saw, plus the history that we're also interested in of the Knights Templar, the Merovingians, etc. But so those 3 aspects are so interesting that you've curated these ideas and put them together in your films. They're very, very powerful, very moving. And I love the drone work because it gives us all an idea of how rugged the countryside is surrounding the French Templar history, how challenging it must have been to deal with that rugged terrain and those tall mountain peaks and valleys, and very inhospitable when you're trying to move through it or traverse through it. Very challenging.
Yeah, you really don't get that perspective unless you have that drone footage like that.
Yeah, and that's what struck me. And you read a book and it's in your mind, southern France, X, Y, and Z, Rennes-le-Château, but you have no idea of the incredible feats of engineering and flat out work that our medieval ancestors undertook in order to create castles on top of cliffs. So it's phenomenal, really amazing to see that, and the drone footage helps with that. I do think the photography in the documentaries is fantastic. It is.
Yeah, we think that it's important too, because even if you don't buy the story, with just to mention one of the review we had, you can watch it for the landscape and the impressive castles that are there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's quite the travel log if you want to look at it like that.
It truly is, and that's something that, talking about Rennes-le-Château, and I've heard about it now from dealing with, all the different researchers and stuff are mentioning it, and I've seen pictures of it, but nothing quite like this. And
No.
we've talked about the engineering that the Templar had, the engineering know-how that they had to be able to construct things like this, the churches and the chateaus and the fortresses that they made. Um, it's phenomenal work, not to mention the tunnels that they created, underground and the engineering that went behind all of that. But my goodness, it just makes me so much more impressed by them and the work that they have done. Everybody thinks, oh, the Templars, they were a bunch of soldiers. They went around and protected the
No,
pilgrims on their way to the Holy Land. They were so much more than that. So much more than
absolutely.
that. It's really, really, truly, you're bringing this to light, and I can't thank you enough for that.
Yeah,
That was really
yeah,
interesting.
and I've learned so much, and I wanted just to bring up a quick point before we go further and perhaps forget. The Livorno is on the Italian coast, Tuscany, but what was so impressive about that is the first film clip you saw of Livorno that mentioned the Venetian quarter. So here we have a Templar city with the Venetian quarter. And of course, when you're the last stand, the last fortress in Jerusalem or Israel, the Crusader states, the Levant, was Acre or Acre.
Mhm.
And the Templar castle was right next to the Venetian quarter. They were allies. The Templars, of course, were merchants as well.
Mhm.
And they were always either buying ships from the Venetians or renting or booking passage with them. So, it's so interesting to see the Acre same grouping with Templar and Venetians now transported over to Livorno.
Mhm.
And I hadn't realized the Templar presence there, that the Medicis kept alive when they infused money into the ancient medieval city, and it grew and it was updated. And to see the Medici shield coupled with a Templar Knight cross, wow, that
Yeah,
was phenomenal. Right in the city of Livorno.
Mhm.
So, and that was new for me. That was new
Yeah, it
for me.
was for me. You brought that up to my attention, and I remember seeing it in the video, and I thought, "Oh my goodness, I had never." I mean, I wasn't that up to speed with the Medici family until the video came out, and then I really got immersed into them. Now, tell us a little bit about them, if you don't mind. Either of you, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about. Obviously, they're covered in the second
No,
in the second
I
film.
agree. I agree to talk about that. There is another ancient family, which is the Martellis family, which is more ancient than the Medici family, and they were friends. They even had a marriage at some point.
Mhm.
This family is where the Templar mentioned in the story of the episode 2, Roberto Martello, or Roberto from Volterra,
Mhm.
comes from. So everything starts with him and his crew. They left Damietta with the boat, with the relics. Some of those relics are still in the church, and they have been even approved by the Vatican. Actually, Vatican was the commissioner of that travel, but they changed mind at a certain point because they had kind of happening on board the ship. But you should read the book.
Yes, I did scan through the book, and what an incredible story. So Sir Robert of Volterra was associated with the Knights Templar commandery in Volterra in Italy, beautiful ancient medieval city in Tuscany, the Knights of the Dow Cross. And he was on crusade. He went to Egypt and was involved in a battle there. He went to a temple, to a mosque, and he had in his company the Armenian monk, a very mysterious individual. Now the Templars would do this; they would engage scholars, and the Armenian monk was a scholar. He spoke something like 9 languages. He was an alchemist, a doctor. He understood the culture in Egypt at the time, and he directed Sir Robert to take this relic that was in the temple there. And Sir Robert had his own helmet, but he was carrying the helmet of his fallen companion, friend, another warrior, another knight. And he put the relic in the helmet, and it fused, according to legend, it fused to the helmet. So that was quite odd. And Robert thought that this object should go to the Vatican, to Rome. So they left Egypt, as Luca was telling us, and they tried to book passage. They had rented a ship with the Templars, with a group of Templars, but the Teutonic Knights came along because they wanted to get out of there. And so the Teutonics and the Templars actually had a battle for this vessel. Probably one of the last ones to get out of this particular area. There was hostility in the area, and they needed to escape. But anyway, now the younger man with Sir Robert, who might have been his son or a younger brother, it is not known, was very badly injured in the fight. He fell injured his spine and his leg very badly, and probably would have died. So they get onto this boat. Now, Luca, is it the Armenian monk that directs him to go to Livorno, or was it another individual because of the healing waters there? So there are healing waters, very famous healing waters in Livorno. So they decide to go there instead, and just to rush things along, they go to the holy well, and he puts the helmet, I think, in the water, and the holy relic separates from it, and he's able to pick up the water from the well and give it to the young man, and the young man is healed. So
they mention about a cup as well, which is not the Grail, but there was a cup there, and this cup it looks like to be used for this operation. And this cup has been later located in one of the monasteries. Actually, there were 4 monasteries, each one for each relic that the Templars transported with them. And it's a very long story about that. You need to watch the movie for understanding. But there was one in particular, which is the most astonishing, which is what was called the throne of the Jews at those times. But in the modern time, it's called chronovisor. And you can find it on YouTube, several stuff about that.
Wow.
It's a kind of
controversial?
machine. No, it really exists. It's still in the church, hidden in the church. It's still there.
Wow.
And there is a story why it's still there, but it's been there for almost 1,000 years. So I mean, in the valley.
Is it time to watch the trailer for documentary part 2? Would that be appropriate right now?
Absolutely. But it doesn't show these aspects, and maybe a little part of the church where you mentioned the well or the source as
The Benedict Valley.
No. In the trailer, there is a mix of things, including the church of San Jacopo, where they did this operation you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Is this going to be the Medici Mystery #2 or the?
Correct. Yes, okay. The one we published last time.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I got that. And let me bring this up here. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay.
I can send it to you if you don't have it.
I got it. It's right here.
I got it.
Oh.
Actually, this is a different one.
Yeah, I did this.
Oh, is this a different one?
And the nearby rival town Pisa still show the transition of nobles such as Ferdinando Primo de' Medici and his father Cosimo, who more than all, guided by unconventional ideas, then confirmed with the Livornian laws, promoted ideals devoted to freedom and tolerance that struggled to emerge in the rest of Europe. These values represented in effect a direct link with the ancient Templar Knights and Knights of Malta, at the time of their birth known as the Hospitallers. Both orders were thus emulated in the purpose of faith and, above all, of protection towards the weakest. Cosimo founded the Knights of San Stefano, becoming their first Grand Master, and also his son Ferdinando Primo, whose ideals of life were confirmed by the creation of Livorno itself.
All right, so let's bring it. Yeah,
it's a different one.
Okay, sorry about that.
I apologize.
Did you just send me the link there? Is that the one you sent?
I sent you the link.
It's the trailer.
Yeah, I sent you the link
okay.
to the trailer. And that cross at the end, that concrete on the concrete post, that's the Cathar cross, the Counts of Toulouse. That is their symbol, their heraldry symbol. And I was just so surprised to see that represented in
Pisa symbol.
In Pisa. Yeah, amazing.
Okay, this is I just brought the trailer over, so okay. So here we go. Let's get this rolling here.
Yeah, this is the one.
I used to be a Templar in the past, and something or someone tore me away from eternity to make me return once again to these places in the time of history and legend. Tuscany and its coast, the Benedict Valley, and the green hills, no one would ever suspect what they hid. Many centuries have passed, but the immemorial mystery had forced Livorno and the Benedict Valley to be silenced. Although my remains are like dust in a hidden tomb, my eyes have continued to see, and this city still has something to say. Knights, men of fortune, pirates, enlightened minds, and others far more unscrupulous, but all from the first to the last with their mind focused on that mystery. Certain of nourishing deep devotion for my brothers, who now all rest with our Lord, I can assure you that sailing far from the Holy Land and arriving in this Livorno's coast, we started that great secret without knowing it. It is again close to the Benedict Valley, at the hermitage of Sambuca, that the Templars arrived in Livorno. The retinue of Robert of Volterra came into contact with the Black Hermits. The Knights of Christ brought with them a mysterious object, more precisely a cup that the legend brings to the famous knight with the two helmets. Leonardo da Vinci. The artist was walking along the banks of the stream together with his guide, when suddenly a fog fell and led him to an indefinite place, where he found himself talking to a mysterious man. He pointed out to Leonardo a watermill that would be built in that place. The fog disappeared. Had Leonardo perhaps seen the future, because a mill was then built in that place? The Livorno events have always been connected to the sea, above all thanks to personalities such as Ferdinando I de' Medici. Thus ends this journey to discover the Medici Mystery, when at the site of the statue of the explorer, the destination of our next trip seems to be approaching. Oceans will be crossed, new lands discovered, and each time always under the protection of a patent cross.
Wow.
Wow, Leonardo figures in this too. That's
I know.
He's everywhere. He's everywhere. That's an interesting moment. So, what happened to him, Luca? What do you think happened to him?
To Leonardo, or
He goes for a walk along a stream
yes,
and gets lost in a fog, and
the little stream is called Ugione, and it starts from that monastery that you have seen, and basically he has like a time lapse favored by the fog, and he have been just like in the future, because he has seen this windmill that then existed 1 century later or whatever. That I mean, it's something that is connected with the story also of the chronovisor some way, you know.
yeah, and the energy, the earth energies in the area perhaps are lend itself to mysterious happenings.
Exactly.
Right.
It happened many other times, even in the modern time. Weird phenomena.
Okay.
I just heard 2 days ago the SERP, which is an association in Tuscany for studying paranormal phenomena, has been there to do its research. So
Wow.
there is an interest in there.
Wow,
And,
I'd love to go there myself. That sounds so interesting. You guys are so lucky to be.
I told Gretchen if she comes over there one day, she can write an entire book about it.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
It's fascinating, and the more I find out, the more I am hooked and would love to be able to follow through.
You need to visit, because there is still kind of an heritage there with people that are still working on it every single day. So it's an ancient story, but it's still researchers are going around there.
Now, you are associated or with a Templar order today that have been looking after and guarding these secrets, these traditions?
Yes, they do have it one. And they dress as black, as not white and red like normal Templars, because of the story. I mean, the Black Friars were there in the Middle Age, so they are inspired by that kind of. When the Templars refuged themselves in the hills, they couldn't dress like the Templars anymore, because they just, were escaping from. Right. I mean, the boat was taken up to the hills and hidden, and many other things happened. So they have to change their appearance as well. So they mix up with the black monk friars. Yeah. And they built a lot of tunnels, like Jeff told before. They were incredible builder. So there are still tunnels underground there, long tunnels, and they arrive all in the same church, which is San Gualberto.
Yeah. Now it was mentioned in, I remember that being mentioned in episode number 2 of your film, number 2 there, and it said, it talked about during the bombing, during the war with Germany, that the bombing had opened up some of those tunnels, and so they were
Correct.
able to then get access to them. So, I mean,
Correct.
again, you go back to that whole thing of them being engineers and being able to actually create those tunnels. You would wonder why. Okay, of course, they were hiding out. They weren't going to be pronouncing, "Hey, we're the Templars. We're over here now." So, I mean, what would those tunnels be for? Would they be tombs, or would they be places to hide things? I mean, it seems like both of those, maybe, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yes, there were 4 points that corresponds to churches, a monastery, and a couple of those are still in the movie. The San Gualberto is one of those, and is the latest one. But La Sambuca, which is the holy pit, because there was like a holy pit up there, and it's all an underground thing, you know. But all the relics were taken there to be hidden and safely by the monks, because the Templar at a certain point disappears, of course, and the monks, Black Friar, become the real guardian of those. So you can see still interesting relics approved by the Vatican inside of the church. The Vatican knew about the chronovisor.
I'm surprised, and I'm surprised that they haven't said, no, you got to bring those to the Vatican.
I explained the story quickly. It happened. They have to move it in the Vatican archive, like many other things that are hidden there. But there was an event, a kind of bottle bombing situation. They couldn't move it, also because its weight, it's 1 ton. So,
wow.
Oh, okay.
So they decided to hide it somewhere in the church. It's still there.
Oh my goodness.
And at the end of the war, they wanted to destroy a part of the church just to, but they weren't able to do that because they bombed it with explosive. But because this church has villages connected, apartment connected, people live there, so they couldn't. Right. So it's still there. And this chronovisor is only one of the 4 existing in the world. The other 3, I suppose they are in Egypt still, in a pyramid.
This is it's called the chronovisor, or the corona.
No, the chronovisor. Chrono. But they call it the throne of the Jews at the time of the Templars. And after that, there was a middle period. They call it the mirror of Romitone. Romitone is a particular figure. You have to read the book to understand what it is. It's really, the book is more, I mean, when we scheduled to do this movie, it wasn't only on this subject. We put it together 1 month before to go there. So we had the chance to give it just 20 minutes of space
Wow.
in the 60. So, but an entire movie would be appropriated. So, but that's not only about Templars.
This is the Church of San Gualberto, is that correct?
Yes,
Am I saying it right?
The church you see in the movie. Yeah.
Okay, and the book is highlighted in the film as well. That went live last night on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
In honor of being on with Jeff here today. So there is a tunnel that leads from the church to it goes, a very long way.
Yes, several kilometers.
Astonishing. But then if you look at documentaries of Accra, of the tunnels underneath that the Templars had built to move men and gold, etc., without having to walk through the streets, they were quite capable of these feats. And I thought it was quite interesting. There was another church that was built on top of an earthen pyramid that had been built.
That's
a
it.
Very, a
That's
great
it.
deal. Right. That's incredible. So is that the same church?
Yes.
Luca?
Yes, there were earlier people there called the Gentili, and after the Etruscans. So it's very ancient area, very ancient.
Amazing. That's interesting in itself too.
So the Templars are the latest period, maybe, even if it was 800 years ago. I mean, it's recent considering what it was there before.
And Sir Robert brought these important relics there in 1221, a very long time ago. Okay, well, is there another film clip to watch?
Mm-hmm.
Are there any more?
Yeah, I've got several more, and I was just reading some of the, when I mentioned some of the researchers that that I have come to know because of this show. Many of them are in the chat and on Facebook over here, and they're commenting about certain things. Court Lindahl is there, and he was talking about the Black Friars. I think. Let me see if I can find his. I can bring it up for you. I think this was it here. Oh, this was a question that was actually proposed by one of the Liam Wilcox. He said, "Did the Blackfriars disappear into the arts? Seems to have links to Shakespeare." I'm not exactly sure. Go ahead if you either
Is
one of
he
you.
talking about alchemy?
Probably.
Is that what he means by the arts?
Probably.
Yeah. Well, the alchemy has been practiced by our, nobility of your European nobility for hundreds and hundreds of years. And if you could protect yourself, if you were wealthy enough to protect yourself, then you could get away with it. And Leonardo da Vinci was an alchemist.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of cachet if you could afford to have your own alchemist in your court. It was a bit like having the latest and greatest Hummer. Humvee, so you would have great prestige if you had a very gifted, knowledgeable alchemist on hand. And it's so interesting that Sir Robert was able to entice the Armenian magi or monk to come with him, and the carrot for the accompanying Robert was the fact that he was going to Egypt. And he needed his translation skills. He needed his knowledge of artifacts. And it seems to have paid off to have this scholar in their midst. And as the story goes, he eventually goes to England, where he is lost to the records at that juncture. But yes, alchemists were important to your court, if for no other reason than for the mundane, such as chemistry. Could your alchemist come up with a poison to put in your enemy's wine at a diplomatic meeting, or could he create gunpowder, or a trebuchet, a medieval war machine, on and on and on. So, and Leonardo da Vinci was all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the I think this was Court said something about this here. He said the Blackfriars derived from Black Friars. a common name for the Dominican Order of Friars.
And they weren't natural friends with the Templars either, which I find interesting. That you have Templars befriending the Black the Hermitage, in the Benedictine Valley, and two of them were interred there. Is that they found?
We call Jesuati order.
That is definitely they're not friends normally.
No, we're not Dominican. They were Jesuati.
Jesuits. Excuse
Jesuits.
me.
Okay.
Okay, they were Jesuits.
I don't know if they are the same, but in the book they are written as Jesuati, which is a bit different from Jesuiti.
Okay.
I don't know. I just wondered if they were the same or not, but I don't think so.
Okay.
They were not doing any torture or stuff like that. No.
Yeah.
And there was much before that. So
we had Alessandra had asked a question here about a caves, and I was trying to find it. It was back a bit. There's been so much chat going by. So many people are commenting. I'm actually losing track of where they are now. But she was talking about a. Here it is. Here, this is from Alessandra Nadavari. She said, "Has Luca been to the Grail Cave near Montreal de Sauce? De Sauce? Is that how you pronounce it? It's Cathar origin. I don't know. Is that
not yet? Because episode 3 and 4 is gonna be on September, October this year. Hopefully, everything is gonna be all right. I mean, with the COVID pandemic."
I think it's pretty much over. I think you'll be able to get there.
Yeah,
At least I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, Canada is episode 3 and 4 as well, New England, because there is another story connected with the travel on North America.
Yes, you are highlighting this author who this book came out in 2004, and Verrazzano is important to Livorno, where you were born, and there's a statue there of him. That is the statue.
He's actually in Greve in Chianti, which is near Florence.
Right.
So
excuse me, that's where the statue is.
Yeah. So it's closest to Florence. And that's the reason we finished the last scene up there, because it was introducing the work of Verrazzano mission in the Steven Sora book, the Lost Colony.
Well, it's I haven't had time to read it fully yet, but he brings up the Templar colony in Montreal, in Arcadia.
Correct.
The Poussin painting, the Cartier map, Champlain.
Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia. Yes, Newport Tower, the Westford Knight. It's quite the book.
The lead book for episode 3 and 4, but also there is another aspect very important that precede the Templars thing. It belongs to the Viking period, and especially the period of Eric, Red Eric.
Yes, you do. Pardon me, Steven Sora does a chronology in the front of the book.
Yes.
Eric the Red in Greenland in 982.
Right.
And he brings back 25 ships to Greenland. He has the Norse arriving in North America in the year 1002. And I've spoken about this as well. He's dropped a bit here, but things have changed. It's recently been discovered that the colony in Newfoundland dates to 1021, and it's not that far away from the year 1066, which is the Norman conquest of England, William the Conqueror, and he is from Normandy in France, or a man of the north. His ancestor was Rollo, who married the Merovingian princess of Paris. So it's interesting to see all of these things laid out in the front of the book here. So he does a wonderful chronology of what has happened over the centuries, and leading to North America. So and the family connections. So he's done quite a lot of work. And the St. Clairs play a huge part, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating what he has put together, and of course he highlights the escape from La Rochelle to literally to Newport, is what he says during his introduction.
Yes, but regarding the Viking approaching to Newfoundland, there is another book of Nancy Mary Brown, which is also of our interest because it speaks about a female passenger that was with Eric. And this is Gudrid Tornadottir, an Icelandic woman who traveled with him. And according with the story, she gave birth to Snorri, which is the first European born in the North America. And she traveled a lot, Norway, Denmark, and even to the Pope. There is witnesses. He met the Pope in those times. So she existed really. And if you go in Iceland, there is a statue of her and her son. So this is something that is new to the story aspect. Still in the fleet, Icelandic Greenlanders fleet, but she means something in the story of Newfoundland.
Vinland. And you have a lovely actress from Texas who will be portraying her.
Yeah, Amy Johnson.
Yes, tall, blonde.
Yeah, she has an amazing resemblance with the original painting. Yeah, and she was an actress in the movie already. Yeah, kind of different subject, but anyway.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, we have a couple more clips. Which one? I have the third one for the Medici Mystery, and then we still have one that I didn't show from it was the number 2. It was the Da Vinci Code Secrets, the second one. Did you want to show one of those?
Da Vinci Code Secrets is the first one.
Yes, the first episode, which is not available yet, but will be in the near future.
Yeah, which of these did you want to show?
Shall we stick with the number 2 episode to avoid confusion?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so this is the third clip we have for the Medici Mystery, and I'll bring that up now. Let's see. Again, try to do this quickly here. All right, and switch over. Here we go. And this is from episode number 2.
We are in San Gualberto, a church at the center of the village of Valle Benedetta. A peculiarity that perhaps makes the building unique and therefore contributes to increasing its aura of mystery is the fact that this church rises on a pyramid built in previous eras. These hills are home to the 4 places that the Templars chose to guard the relics brought on their long journey back from the Holy Land. The ship itself was then hidden in those places, thanks to the help of the crew of the Turcopolis, half-blood of the Christian people and archers who were allied of the Templars and Crusaders in the Holy Land. In the following centuries, they would become local pirates. In San Gualberto, I come across an environment of the same proportions and measures as the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, and I kneel to pray to our Lord. A lot of centuries have passed. Churches during my time were much poorer, but now, wherever I turn my gaze, falls on all kinds of decorations. In the church, there are many relics from different periods, validated by the Vatican. Our story in particular, however, is linked to 4 sacred objects, the same ones embarked by the Templars in the Holy Land with Robert of Volterra after the hasty escape from Damietta. History has brought these objects closer and then removed, and San Gualberto Church hides one in particular, that for now we will call by the name which was known at the time of the Order, the Throne of the Jews. It is again close to the Benedict Valley, at the hermitage of Sambuca, that the Templars arrived in Livorno. The retinue of Robert of Volterra came into contact with the Black Hermits. The Knights of Christ brought with them a mysterious object, more precisely a cup that the legend brings to the famous knight with the 2 helmets. The Templars lived there for some time, along with the Black Hermits, before disappearing again.
Wow. That is really an interesting episode, I tell you. And it covers so many different subjects as we go along through that. One of the ones was, talking about for me, was talking about the Knights Templar having a link to Christopher Columbus and his famous discovery. Now that was right toward the beginning, if I remember correctly. Spanish royalty had financed the trip. But also with the support of the Medici family, correct?
Yes, that's what the researcher of the book of Livorno, because there was another book too connected with the movie, says about the Medici who supported Columbus in a certain way that they explain in the interview.
And that was Maurizio? Is that
Maurizio
right?
Silvestri is the author and writer of the Livorno and its mysteries, because Livorno, which is my birthtown place, has a lot of mysteries too. That it was good to find out and write this book. So basically, there are 4 different books on episode 2. So the latest one is chronovisor by the story that has been taken up with the scientific experiment or explanation about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
Teodorani is the author, and so he explained it in a physical way, so with science, not with the other explanation. So it's very interesting because we didn't go deeper on that in the movie. Of course, we didn't have the time, as I mentioned.
That
But
might have to be number 6 or something, or 7, yeah.
yeah. By the way, yes, the Medici supported Cristoforo Colombo. That, as probably not many knows, he has been supported by the Sinclair family because he married a Peristrello, which was a woman belonging to the Sinclair family descendant. So he had the map.
Mm-hmm.
He had the map. He knew the path that they had previously with Harry Sinclair.
Yeah, that made more sense in the book, the relationship. Some authors have confused it today to say that he was married to a Elizabeth Sinclair, but that's not the case.
Peristrello.
Yeah,
Peristrello.
she was descended from.
Correct.
From,
yes.
Yeah. So that is just fascinating. Everything that you've brought forward.
And it's easy to say that that Christopher Columbus knew about the new land and the new world over there
He did.
prior to his ever going, and he had a route maybe by which to get there, and he knew about all of it.
Yes.
So who did he get it from? That's the
I mean, he played on the safe ground compared to his predecessors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're in touch with Stephen Soros' family, and
I mean, Stephen, passed away last August 2021, sadly. And I'm in touch with Terry, his wife, and Mike, part of the family as well. Yeah, and I will dedicate in memoriam of him.
Wonderful.
The episode based on his book.
Okay. He concluded the same thing that I had in my second book, the Templar Quest to North America, which is they went from the St. Lawrence River Valley westward, and that becomes a key feature in the fur trade, which Verrazano might have participated in. They embarked from Dieppe, the port of Dieppe in France, to the Great Lakes and the routes that the Native Americans had already trod on for millennia. They followed those same geographic routes. I did see a really interesting new program on Amazon Prime about the Kensington Runestone. It's 6 parts. I've only seen the first part. It's new. And a Danish actor, I think he's Danish, or anyway, he's from the Viking part of the world. You'll recognize his face when you see it, but it is so interesting. You know, I do think that the Kensington Runestone has a lot of validity, and this actor obviously thought so too. And he's just re-examining all of the information surrounding it. But the reason why I bring that up is because I do think the Templars penetrated all the way west to that point in Minnesota. So it's interesting. It's an interesting topic, but I hope that in years to come, our little group can find more information on early European travels along the St. Lawrence River. And of course, you're going into the Hudson River Valley with there's the Newport Tower, the Westford Knight. So they followed the geography of the Hudson Valley westward in the same way that the St. Lawrence River was discovered as well. So
yes, indeed.
Yes, it's a fascinating book. I definitely recommend it. So. Have we left anything out? I feel like I'm supposed to be asking a question, and it's back here, but I can't quite grasp it.
Let's see. I know that we had. Let's see if we had kind of put together a little bit of a talking about talking points. Let's see the back footage. Did we cover enough on the story of Robert Volterra and the? We did.
Well, I think we did, but
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to June. Luca and his film crew is coming to England, and I'll be working with him on different on Templars in England, and going to Royston Cave, Nottingham Castle, to see Ye Old Trip to Jerusalem, owned by the Templars. And I visited that. It's one of the oldest, probably the oldest inn or bar in the UK. Nottingham was a major stopover point for the Templars on the way to Dover, and from there to the Holy Land. It was a staging point going south, but the inn is built right into the bottom of a cliff that the castle sits on top of, and they dug back, and their back storage area for the inn that they're using for today, the restaurant and bar, is in the shape of a cross. So the Templars created a cross. As it's always spiritual, but it's always practical too. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating. So I look forward to sharing the Templar underworld with Luca when he comes this June, and he's going to Scotland, Newgrange in Ireland. Is that right? On the 21st
yeah.
June? Yeah, Newgrange for the solstice. And that's quite Newgrange is ancient.
That was Alessandra. That was Alessandra. So, I tell you, honestly, I can't wait to see episode number 1, because, now that we've gotten, and again, folks, I have to say, if you haven't seen episode 2, you really need to watch that. It's available. It was released last night. And then episode 1, hopefully we'll get to see that pretty soon. When it gets on, you said it's coming to a new platform. It's going to be released on a different platform, but it's being held up.
Yeah, agreements are still going on right now.
Cool.
Yeah, the kind of war between the platforms.
Yeah.
There are 13 platforms right now.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's really great. And then you have 3 more, right? A total of 5 that are going to be coming out.
Yes. Yeah, there used to be 7, as I said. One of the 7 that has been canceled was speaking about the sacred geometry. Harry Lincoln was working with the Danish PhD and the Bornholm churches, but and the other one was Portugal, or Portugal, like someone like to say.
Freddie Silva, yes.
Yeah.
Are you going to Nova Scotia?
Yes.
Oh,
wonderful. You must meet Alessandra.
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's really great. There's a few people up there you probably should meet, but Alessandra, definitely one of them. Yeah, she's fantastic, and she is tied together. She came up with talking about some of the she brought it to my attention actually on a show once when I was interviewing her, or I hate to use interview, when I had her on as a guest. And we were talking about the going down the St. Lawrence Seaway and talking about some of the different cities that are there. Montreal, Detroit, which was like Destroyed over in the Middle East. Montreal being in the Middle East. And what was the other one? I've forgotten what the other one was. There was 3 of them coming down through there. And so why did they come up with those same names? Why were they, Montreal and Detroit, like Destroyed, and then it wasn't Quebec. I can't remember the other one.
I can't remember either. But
the third one, Toronto. Thank you, Linda. Just popped it up.
So insightful, very insightful of her.
I mean, and why were they named that way as you come down the St. Lawrence Seaway into Lake Erie and into Detroit area? It just odd parallels that they would be. Yeah, she put it up there. Yeah, that was at Montreal, Detroit, and Toronto. So very, very interesting stuff. And it makes you wonder, there are many that believe that the Knights Templar never came to North America. and then there's a lot of people believe that they did. I guess is still out for proof, that whole thing. But again, the thing you guys brought up earlier, you were talking about La Rochelle and the ships, and some people have said the Templars never had any ships. They had to borrow ships to get anywhere. And there's other people that say, yes, they did own ships. They owned several, or quite a few. And they were, so man, it's just so much going back and forth on all of this, but we're always searching for that tangible proof. Like Rick Lagina says, it's a theory is just a theory until you hold it in your hands. So we're all looking for that. And I know you mentioned La Rochelle earlier in the show. You take me back there just for a moment. So La Rochelle, in your opinion, was that a place where these ships were housed or kept? Were they in port there?
Yes. There was a captured young Templar knight who was being questioned, and we have his testimony to this day in written form. He literally said, and it's, I have heard so many naysayers say, why do North American travelers, with the Templars always hang their hat on that testimony? Because it's very explicit. He said that the Templars owned 18 ships at La Rochelle. That's very specific.
Mm-hmm.
It means they had complete clear right to dictate where those ships were going to go. And that's quite the asset. Each ship has perhaps, food, expensive armaments, experienced sailors, experienced fighters, goodness knows what kind of cargo they were carrying. Mm-hmm. But they could have gone, as the popular thought is, to the excommunicated King of Scotland, Robert the Bruce. They could have also split up. The King of Spain didn't persecute the Templars. They just changed their names. Mm-hmm. Portugal was literally a Templar state until the Inquisition stomped out the culture there to the best that they could. And I believe a resurgence happened in England with Edward the
Oh, she froze.
Third, the second.
You froze there for just a moment. Sorry.
Templars. Yeah. Well, there were more, unfortunately the problem is that a lot of records have gone through the passage of time. We lost quite a few records on the island of Malta during the Ottoman siege. There was a huge fire there. And a lot of Templar records were lost at that point. They disintegrate, they get destroyed, the war, etc. So, burden of proof, fine, but I do think there is enough evidence to state that it is probable that they were in North America, and there were different Templar holdings on the coast in France. They had. I don't want to say they had a ship at Talmont Castle that was actually owned by a private family, but they had a Templar holding 6 miles down the road. And that family at Talmont was allied to the Rochefoucalds inland. So there were harbor arms down the coastline near Templar holdings where ships could have launched, other than La Rochelle. And it's highly probable they went to North America. I do believe they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I kind of believe they did too. And the thing of it is, people say, well, where's the proof? Where's the records? They're not going to be any records. If they're fleeing because
thank you, Luke.
If they're fleeing, they're not going to leave records behind saying, hey, we're going over here, and we're going to hide out over here. And when they get to North America, if they did, when they get to North America, they're not going to say, hey, we're the Knights Templar. We're here in North America now. They're going to go by a different name. They're going to change who they are. They're going to call themselves something else. So they're not going to put up the big flag to say, hey, come over here and hunt us down,
Just like they did in Benedict Valley, the same.
There you go. Exactly. Livorno. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep.
another friendly harbor.
Mhm. Exactly.
Absolutely.
So I tell you what, honestly, this has been great. We're coming up on hour and 47 minutes that we've been on, and I tell you what, I am so intrigued, Luca, by what you have brought to the table, what you have produced already as a film director. This is fascinating stuff, and you're taking us down, like Gretchen had mentioned earlier, you're taking us down a road and you're introducing us to names that we didn't know before. And this is, I guess, because of the work of Tanya, and I don't have her. What was her last name again?
Martino.
Tanya Martino. And tell you what, and I wish I was asking Gretchen earlier. Does she speak English? Because obviously she's subtitled in there for us in the video.
Unfortunately, no.
And I was like, I want to interview this woman.
I want to talk to her.
If you speak French, you can manage it.
I'm gonna have to get Linda or Gretchen. Do you speak French?
I wish I did.
Oh no! Okay.
I wish I did. Much
We
to
need an
my, you know, we
interpreter.
Americans.
Luca, you
need
might have to
learn
interpret
more
for us.
languages.
I would love to talk. Now she's a lawyer, I guess she's speaking. But
Yeah.
I somebody that was as passionate as she with her research, even though she is a lawyer now, she probably has to still have an interest in all of this. I would
She's
think.
writing another book?
She's still doing research. Yes.
Yeah.
She's
see?
writing a book, and she started very young. She was 14 years old, and Lincoln book, Holy Grail, Holy Blood of the Glare,
Mhm.
was the one that inspired her. So,
Wow. Yep.
and then she met him, and they worked a bit together.
Yeah, that's something else. And I would love to meet her and be. I know I can't talk to her, but man, if you could interpret for us, that would be great. Because I
can do that. I can do that.
I would love to have a chance to speak with her. That would be fascinating.
I mean, I can bring it over the main three people in the crew: Tanya, Guido, which is the Templar in the images, but he speaks English.
Mhm.
Actually, he's specialized in visual arts and paintings and history of art in Italy. And he has 2 graduation, and probably he's gonna go in Boston for a museum to do a stage over 6 months, but he doesn't know yet. But
wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great.
Very talented crew you've brought together.
Mhm.
Now, did I hear you correctly, Luca, say that his garb was from the same company that created the costumes for Nightfall? Is that right?
Some of them, yes.
Terrific.
Wow.
That's terrific.
Wow.
Yes, minus the mud. They all looked rather dirty,
Yeah.
disheveled at times.
It's true.
They look very clean and tidy.
I agree.
Yeah. That would be very hard to keep that white so clean when you're fighting all the time and stuff. And in the concept by which the film was done, by going and taking a person from the past, bringing them to the future, and using that as the premise by which to tell the story, I thought was fascinating. That was really, really good, because you're seeing it through this person's eyes that is now they're in the future looking at it, but also giving you a recollection of what it was like in the past. I thought that was fascinating and a great way to do that. That's just wonderful. I applaud you for your work. It's great work. I cannot wait to see episode number 1, of course. And then, of course, when you get finished with 3, 4, and 5. When is 3? When do you think we'll be able to? When will 3 be?
We wanted to release them all for Christmas this year.
Okay. That's a big task.
It can be done because I can edit the UK one in summer, and then September, October go to Canada and New England for the foliage period. And if Amy Johnson agree, we're gonna go to do the same with her as introduction character of Good Return a Daughter. And Guido, I don't know if he's going to be in Boston. We can do it. Maybe he's going to be close.
Yep. Wow. That's
May
great.
I pass this on? With your permission, Luca, I did state this in my blog and on. Yeah. Okay. There is room on the team, Luca's team, for a very organized, business-minded co-producer, and so if you are interested in funding the project and participating and helping with business organizational things, contact him through Web Icon. What is your URL?
Web Icon Incorporation is the producing company I work for.
Okay. We need to get that URL. Linda, I was going to ask if Linda, so if we can get that put up. I think she might have actually put it up already, but if not, we'll get that link in the description here so that we can put that up for sure. Because obviously these things are not, they're not free. You know, it takes a lot of money to be able to make these productions.
And it's going to go ahead regardless, but with greater fuel, more can be done to elevate the project.
Yep. And I can even add those canceled episodes, maybe.
Yes.
Number 6 and 7. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, get those back on the table. Yeah,
yes.
for sure.
Bornholm is important to the Templar world.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Yeah. And like I said, you've brought so much more to this table. The whole thing with the black friars up there, and in that where the Templars went for a while, that part there just fascinates me. I really need to get more and more information on that, because I'm really interested in all of that. I mean, the whole thing. And like I said, I wrote 2 pages of notes just going.
Maybe we should come over with the Gretchen one day in Benedict Valley and do a work together or something.
That would be exciting. Yes,
that would be great. And we're hoping to see more.
You would be the very first from UK and the United States. So
there you go. Oh, that's fascinating. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap the things up here. Thank you again, Luca. Wow. And we will make sure we get everything linked on here for you. We already put the episode number 2. We linked it on our Facebook group page, and it's also in the description below, folks, so you can see it there. Watch that after we're done here. Give it a check. It's 1 hour and 6 minutes long, I believe it was. Fascinating information, and it goes there's much in there that we did not talk about on the show today, just simply because of time and all of that. So, and again, we'll see once things get ironed out about episode number 1, and that gets put out. We can see that hopefully soon, and then we'll see episode 3, 4, and 5 by the end of the year. We hope that would be great. I'll tell you what, this has been a fascinating ride, Luca, and I appreciate you so very much. Gretchen, thank you for being the co-host here. Your knowledge in all of this is just phenomenal, and being able to carry us through with the background that you have on all of this. And thank you.
It's a great support.
We're a good team. We're a good team. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again so very much. Thank you, folks, for being here with us today on the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream, and talking about that funding. If you would like to help support the show, we have our Patreon channel, patreon.com. and it's /jfree906, just like you see the little icon up in the window there at the top of the corner. And again, you can watch this episode anytime. It'll be on YouTube. Just feel free to share it and show it out to all the friends and people out there. And if you like our content, give us a thumbs up. It really does help us and our YouTube channel to give a thumbs up. It allows us to YouTube looks at that and they say, oh, well, let's get this out to more people. And that's really what we want to do, right? So thank you very much for that, if you would. Again, thank you, folks, for being here. We'll see you again right here next time on the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye.